You're watching the Movie Dawgs. We bark about the movies and nothing but the movies. We take a bite out of the movies. Subscribe to the Movie Dawgs and become part of our film-loving community. Hit that subscribe button and don't forget to click the bell for updates. See you in the next review. Welcome to the Dawghouse.
Tired of your yard looking like the jungles of the rainforest? Then look no further than to Franklin's Lawn and Landscaping. Free estimates. They'll take those neglected areas like patios and backyards and turn them into party central, folks. Get in touch with owner Charles Franklin. Franklin's Lawn and Landscaping, 352-601-7260. While you're at it, check them out on Facebook.
Please welcome to the Dawghouse, Krystian Bester.
All right. Well, I guess congratulations in order. You won a reward just recently, didn't you not?
Yes, I was lucky to win a couple awards with Bloodloss. And Anthony put me up for I believe it was Mako Film Festival, and I forget the other one. Silver Wings, I think.
Yes.
Silver Wings, yeah.
So that's got to be a pretty big honor. I mean, because especially in the last few years, if I've touched base with this on this channel, a lot of fan films, and I hate calling them fan films. I like to call them fan fiction or fan art, but especially when it comes to the Friday the 13th films that are done by fans, you've been seeing a lot of, I have to say, like 10 plus performances coming out of these when it comes to everybody involved, from the crew, director. It's been really exciting.
Yeah, very exciting. You have, Peter Anthony has
Yes.
done a few. His productions are awesome.
Yes.
Great actors in his. Anthony decided to do one, and it turned out great. He got really lucky with casting. It was everyone that was involved was just it was fun on set. Everyone's very professional, and we just we had a really tight schedule, but everyone was just managed to give their best performances.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, especially when it comes to the Friday the 13th community, whether they have been in the the studio films and even they've been in the fan films, there's such a wonderful family orientation that I've noticed, that I've got to embrace myself, because I've gotten to meet a few of these people, and of course with Anthony and his wife Mandy, who are just absolutely darlings. I love these people so much. They're wonderful people.
They're great.
And Peter Anthony himself, who I correspond on Facebook a lot, and even Jason Brooks and those who associated with them, I just love this community because I've been such a fan of myself as a kid growing up with those films. And I love how the fans have kept this property alive, even though the litigations that have been going on and the lack of studio artistic abilities or something, whatever you want to call it. But I have to say that, I have not seen a fan film from Friday the 13th that I have not disliked. I think all of them, especially when it comes to Bloodloss. Now, you're playing two parts in this, are you not?
Yes. John Hawthorne, the detective that's solving the case of the missing boy, and Jason Voorhees.
Oh.
So
I bet that was a bit of as you said, it was a tight schedule. I'm pretty sure that, you were able to take some of that, I'm sure, you got all that energy, but then at the same time, you're doing dual roles. I'm sure there's a lot of pressure going on there. I'm sure you use that to your abilities.
Oh, the pressure was definitely there. We had a script change because we filmed last year in November, and things just. I originally was still John Hawthorne, but he had a smaller role in it. And then things came up, and we decided. Anthony and Mandy decided to do a script change in that to be Jason. And I thought we were just going to use what we had for John Hawthorne, but Anthony sent me the script, and he's like, "No, you have to do more now." And the pressure was definitely on, especially because I think we had like 50 people there throughout the week, and luckily Anthony and I, we corresponded a lot with. He gave me the script far in advance. I could go over it, and we could tweak stuff. I had questions about how John was how his personality should be going forward, and we came up with him being kind of like this disheveled alcoholic, which was fun to play because his partner was murdered just months back, and he kind of just got through with this case, and he wasn't recovered yet. He was still drinking on the job and all that, and so it was really fun to play around with that. And Anthony was a great director. He was if I was too much, he'll be like, "Hey, too much,"
Yeah.
It was everyone worked great together.
Now, when did the acting bug get you? Well, how old were you or was it something that was just always there?
I always loved acting. I always wanted to act. If you talk to my friends, I always talked about it. I never, delve into it in high school or anything like that. I went to the Marine Corps right after high school. So I guess I did a little bit of acting in the Marine Corps because we were in Afghanistan and we had a camera. We would do stupid little skits just to pass time,
Yeah,
just
I've been there down that road too.
Yeah. So, but I always wanted to get into it. And then after the Marine Corps, I was like, I definitely can't because I have tattoos. I have a forearm tattoo, my shoulder, and I was like, you have to, I had the perception of you have to kind of be more of a clean cut. You only have like certain roles if you have tattoos or whatnot, but things have completely changed. And
yeah, I have to say, Sons of Anarchy kind of changed a lot of that.
yeah, and especially because tattoos are such a common thing now for everyone to have that, it's, and if they don't like it, I was talking to one of the makeup artists for one of the TV shows I was on, and I asked her, like, how long would it take for you to just cover up my arm tattoos? She said probably about like maybe 45 minutes, easy. I was like, oh wow, okay. So it's not really, if they don't want the tattoos in there, they have the makeup artists are wonderful now that they could just completely make it seem like you don't have tattoos.
Yeah, I noticed that one time when I watched Rocky Balboa, the Rocky 6, and I remember, Sylvester Stallone's covered in tattoo now. And he's there, with shirtless and everything in the boxing ring. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, doesn't he have like a whole sleeve of tattoos or his whole chest covered in tattoos? And it didn't dawn on me until like years later. I'm like, yeah, it's Hollywood makeup, man.
Yeah.
But I mean,
it's a pain to get off too.
I'm sure.
So, like, sweat won't take off because they need it for you're shooting for 8 to 12 hours a day, and so they use a special like sealant on your skin afterwards, so they don't have to keep on retouching it.
Well, wouldn't you? Was it something that was easy to get into for you, or is it something that you wanted to take your time and you wanted to train and you didn't want to rush into it? Was it something that I mean, because I know you have a family too, so is it something you really have to? You gotta balance both those weights at the.
You definitely have to. I talked with my wife and my family about it beforehand, because I said if I was gonna do this, I wanted to go full speed. And my wife and we both agree that let's give it 1 year of going full speed, and if anything happens, then just keep the momentum going. And if it doesn't, then just play around. Don't go full speed. And I was fortunate enough to land some bigger stuff that it's like, oh wow, okay, I have agents and I have a manager now, and so it's like, okay, this could be something that potentially I won't have to have my day job, in the future.
Yeah.
So,
and that's one thing I've noticed is that a lot of, especially when it comes to those who are working in independent filmmaking, it's like they're looking at it like they're not looking for stardom. A lot of them are looking for the art of it, which is really what has been lost in filmmaking in general. I mean, I don't like calling it Hollywood filmmaking. I like calling it filmmaking in general because, myself, my brother and I, when we were making our independent films back in the 90s and early 2000s, we didn't look about being world famous or super rich and everything. We enjoyed it, and we knew that the process was going to be tough to make it, because trust me, it was always trying to keep an actor or somebody to stay around, to finish the film. But I can tell when a lot of you actors and actresses, you guys just want to work. You don't care, of course the money, it would be good to be paid for something that you're good at. But at the same time, it's just the idea of getting to work and honing your craft and being able to try to perfect it. That right there, I have to always give up the props for, because you guys you can tell that you're doing it for the love of it, not just, you can tell when a person's bored when they're acting.
Exactly.
You can tell, but I can tell when it comes to the lot now, especially nowadays and everything, you can really tell the difference between the bored superstar and the actor who is serious and wants to perform to the best of their abilities.
I completely agree. And if you go, you have to have passion for it. I can't see how actors can't be passionate about it and just do it just for money. Because to me, it'd be like a job that you hate,
Yeah.
like a day job and I love going on set. Even when, as an actor, 85% of the time, you're just sitting around waiting to do the shot. But it's so fun, just the atmosphere, being around there and just, thinking, how am I going to portray this person? How am I going to do this? What if I do this? And it becomes an obsession for people that, like, I'm obsessed with it. I think about it all the time. If I do an audition, I don't just get the audition and then I run and do a self-tape. I have certain steps that I do to build like a character story, even if it's sometimes, if you're doing like a small co-star thing, it's kind of hard to do if you have like one or two lines. And there's not really that much, to go off of what they give you. Because sometimes they'll just give you a script that's, just the 3 lines. Just say these 3 lines. But it's still fun to even then, kind of, I wonder, what day is it? What's he doing? How long has he been at this job? You just build your own like fantasy story about it, and it generally comes out much better than just not thinking about it and going in.
So out of the time that you've been doing this, what has been some of the best productions you've been a part of? I mean, just like God, I would love to work with these people again, whether it's been television or on film.
Well, I had a blast doing Bloodloss and working with Anthony. I'm attached to 2 of his other projects, so that just speaks for itself. That it's fun doing it with him, and it's fun doing it with Mandy, and they don't, as directors, they give creative freedom too for their actors, so you don't feel scared kind of being like, hey, what if could I change this line, because it's more natural for me to say than this line. They're 99% of the time they're on board with it. But that was great production. Law and Order was fantastic. I was lucky to do the season finale of last year, so it was a huge production because they blocked out part of the Bronx. We had like SWAT there, and I was part of it's ECU, but it's basically their SWAT in their world, and like car chase.
Now this is Special Victims Unit that you were on, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh wow!
And that was for Mariska Hargitay, a huge star.
Yes,
probably the nicest person I've ever met. She was awesome.
Just I've heard that she is a very down to earth type of person, and it keeps the set as that.
She's great. She treats everyone the same. She found out that it was my first SAG, like big production, my first time being in a SAG series, and she came up to me. She's like, "You were awesome." She gave me a big hug. I was like, "Wow."
Oh man, that has got to be one of the biggest compliments to get.
Yeah, it was.
And that show's been on for ages now.
I think like 28 years.
Yeah, now. About that. Yeah, it's
24.
24.
Years.
It's hard to believe. And I remember. I think I was just out of high school when that show started. So oh God, I feel old. But again, stuff like that really makes it worth it. When you get those. Those attributes and those accolades, and and you get those compliments, especially from established performers who have that wake up in the morning and boom, they know exactly what to do, and then they're so patient with you.
Oh yeah, and like everyone that I've talked to on their first like major production, I was scared shitless. It was terrifying, and I was lucky to be. I was on set for 2 days. So one was out in the Bronx. They blocked it off. There's like a huge crowd. Everyone's taking pictures of Mariska Hargitay and Ice-T, which Ice-T was awesome too.
Oh God, I forgot he's on that show still. Oh man, that's got to be awesome to meet him.
It was great. When we went to they have a studio where we shot the second day, and my room was right next to his room, so I got to talk to him. He was so down to earth, really nice.
I don't know, 25 years later, and it's still hard to believe knowing that Ice-T is playing a cop. So
right.
But again, that's one of the things about this is that you get these memories now too, that you get to tell your kids when they get older and your grandkids and stuff. It's wonderful memories. I mean, my grandfather, I remember him sitting down with me, talking to me about hanging out with Lee Marvin. He went to this men's meeting that was up in Tennessee somewhere, and Lee Martin was one of the guests there, and he sat around, smoked cigarettes, drank beers with my grandfather.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I'm like, this is Lee Marvin. I mean, he was one of the last of the Hollywood men that didn't give a rat's butt, and it just did his thing, and he was a tough guy, and but it's memories like that. I mean, I don't live far from. I live maybe like 40 minutes away from John Travolta.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because his home is out in Ocala. I live in Citrus County, and he lives out in the Ocala area where he, because they have that community where they can land their planes.
Yeah.
And and we've had some celebrities that's lived out here in my area, and over the years, but it's like it's one of those things where they're so down to earth that they can blend in and just kind of disappear.
Yeah.
And that's what makes, I think, one of the best things about having any type of career in filmmaking or television like that. And I feel like you keep that mentality, you can keep a longevity in that career too. I mean,
of course.
And I mean, because you can see so many people that are so burned out from it and everything, you know, and having that constant schedule. How does it when it comes to your family? I mean, you have kids, I believe, right?
Yes. I have 4 kids. You know, so I do things in New York. I'm considered a New York local hire, even though I live in Boston. So, like for example, tomorrow, the 18th, my episode, I was on FBI Most Wanted, and it's airing tomorrow. And they called me. We shot about 2 months ago, and they called me the night before, or they called me 2 days before, let me know that I booked it. And then that night they said, hey, tomorrow at 10 o'clock, you need to be in Brooklyn to do your fitting. So I was like, all right, I'll wake up early in the morning, and then I look at the forecast, and there was our first like snowstorm. So I ended up leaving at 3 in the morning, and I just got there at like 9:45. It took me that long because it was a blizzard at that time.
Oh gosh.
But then I just went there for 15 minutes to get fitted. Then I drove back to Boston. And then, you know, 3 days later we shot. So it's, luckily with my job I could do that. But, you know, for my family, I have to let my wife know. She's like, all right, and if we have to get a babysitter, I have to figure that out. So there's a lot of juggling. And sometimes for these TV shows especially, you know, you can find out 2 days before you're going to be on set.
Really?
And,
Wow.
the turnaround's really quick. Like for FBI, I did my audition Friday, found out on Wednesday that I booked. Thursday I had to do the fitting, and then Friday we shot.
Wow.
So it's pretty quick. For movies, you get a longer time.
Yeah. I don't know, man. More power to you and everything. When I would hear the horror stories about filming a movie, because I had a chance to work on a television show, and I had to be gone for like 16 months and everything, and it was just my older 2 were just babies at the time, and I don't know if it proved that, you know, at that time I just didn't have it at the time. I had the drive, but the ambition, I just couldn't. I don't know if I could have, because, you know, but, you know, my kids were, you know, naturally the world to all of us, our kids are.
Yeah.
But, you know, now that, you know, I'm able to, you know, do more with what I'm doing now, you know, my kids they're adults now, except for my youngest. She's 13 going on 40. But I have to say, you know, that shows that you can, you know, it really shows that, you know, how inside, you know, how strong you are inside and everything, to where you can really balance that out and everything. And I do think it takes some people time to do it, and some people can naturally do it. So, but I mean, I you know, that's the true. It's a true with all jobs and everything. As long as you can try to balance it out, you know.
Exactly, and you have to. You know, It's unfair for me to. That's why me and my wife had to talk before all this started, because I knew, you know, if things start rolling, or, you know, I could be going to Florida, or Atlanta's a big market. I have an agent in Atlanta that's, you know, there's shows filming there, LA and all that. So that hasn't happened yet, but the New York stuff, you know, it's still kind of weighs on you. I take days off right after I come home too, to spend more time with the family.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
There's always vacations that we, you know, put aside, that no work, no matter what. That's no work, no auditions during that time too. I let my agents and managers know, hey, this week block, I'm non-existent.
I know when my brother and I were, the last movie that my brother and I were working on, we worked at Wally World on Walmart on overnights, and we used a lot of our coworkers as our utility players, and we were making a movie. And so during our lunch break, which was about 30 minutes, or sometimes a little bit longer, sometimes we would get a little bit of overtime accumulated so we can, take advantage of that during those extra 10 minutes or something for lunch and after work and everything. And I was, on top of that, I had a poetry book come out, and I was promoting that and and just trying to get everything dealt with. And it's a task. It is a task. I mean, I can never tell and cry or tell anybody in the profession, to a certain degree, I'll just get over it. You're getting paid to act. No, man, it takes time to do this stuff, and this is time consuming. You forget, it takes time to lay track down for that camera, and it takes time to set up an angle or a camera and everything, and these,
in the marks.
Yeah,
there's always something happens too. Like for Bloodloss, me and Anthony, for that week, we were there for 6 or 5 days. And Anthony got probably an hour of sleep every night, and I got probably 2.5 hours of sleep every night. And but it didn't feel like my body shut down afterwards. I slept for like 2 days but when you're there at that moment, it's exciting. It's fun. You're doing this scene. Oh, you can't wait for that next scene because you love that scene. And it was really fun.
Now, would you say, what would be the best role that you've had so far since you've been doing this? I mean, the one where you're like, I nailed this one. This is it. This is what I love this for. This is why I'm doing this, because of this particular role.
Other than having the honor to play Jason Voorhees, it would probably be I got cast in this movie that was filmed here in Boston. It's called Do You Remember Me? They just they're almost done editing it, but it was director Tanya Margas, and she's won some regional Emmys for documentaries over here, and it's her first stab at a feature, and it's about her rape in college.
Oh my!
Yeah, and she cast me to be the officer that saves her afterwards and like brings her to the hospital and takes care of her and all that. And it was a difficult role because there was so much different emotion. I had to find, I had to be annoyed at certain parts before I knew what happened to her when she's just running, then I see her, and then, I have to call an ambulance, I have to talk to ambulance people, then I have to be in the hospital, and then there's these 2 cops that come in that are assholes to her, and I get in a fight with them. So there was a lot going on, and we talked for, a whole month before about the character, and, and I could see how, especially on set, she like had to leave almost every other take to go cry.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine.
But everyone was to do the movie justice for her, and she's very happy with what we did, and we're having some interviews next week, and I think our in March, so we're all excited to see that. But that was probably the most special role that I've had so far.
Oh man, it's amazing. Now again, that's where I go back to where the personalization of art put into film that a lot of movies have been lacking, even with the big budget. I know a lot of big budget blow 'em up films don't necessarily need the characterization, even though some of them that did that back a long time ago made it even for a better film. But it's these personal pieces that, and especially when it comes to, call it art films, independent films, whatever you want to call it and everything. But that's right there, I think, has been what's keeping filmmaking itself alive and everything. And it makes it, I mean, and plus, and that's one of the things I do think when it comes to streaming, where you can be able to take a lot of these independent films and art films and put them on streaming. You don't have to necessarily put them out in theaters, even though it's great to watch them in theaters as well. If we're going to be keeping the theaters, which I hope we do, get the spectacle ones out there, and to keep those theaters going. But I will advocate a little bit when it comes to, the streaming services, when you've got a lot of great independent films getting showcased on there, which rightfully so they should be, more so than their blow 'em up counterparts.
And when they're amazing too, they get picked up by like A24 or somebody or Paramount, and then suddenly after 3 years that they've already been out, now they're on the big screen because somebody picked them up. And I think it's great.
Yeah. Well, for the personally and professionally, what is in store for Krystian Bester here in the future? What is your future projects, and what do you have that goal set for yourself right now?
Okay. For future projects, I have Anthony's films, Boredom and Bloodshed, The Short, and Killer Pizza, which I'm excited to do. I'm also attached with Peter Anthony and Laugh, so we'll be filming that in September. I did just get a call a few weeks ago that we're going to be doing a pilot for this great show that person that is in the film industry here in New England. He wrote a script for it, and he asked me if I would be for the pilot, one of the series regulars if it gets picked up. So that was a great phone call that I got. And his script, when I read it, he just sent it to me. He's like, "Hey, could you check the script out?" And I read it, and I was like, "Dude, this is amazing. I love it." And, something happens at the end. I was like, I can't believe that. There's so many hooks and everything. And then suddenly he's like, "Hey, would you mind playing, Steve?" And then I was like, "Oh my God." It was awesome. So we have that we're probably going to start filming. We have a table read in a couple months, and then during the summer we'll start filming the pilot. But other than that, I don't think. Then I have that Do You Remember Me from Tanya's movie that's going to be doing its rounds in festivals soon. The private screenings next month, so it should be done. And then I have a movie called The Cursed Hearse, which, if you like horror and comedy, that was one of the first movies I did. I play an asshole room manager. It was really fun. It's about this kid that has two jobs. He hates them. He decides to buy this hearse that to convert it into like a taxi, and it's haunted, and it starts messing with his mind and making him do stuff. So that was fun to play. But
all right. Yep. Well, I'm looking forward to them. I really hope the best in these endeavors. I love seeing these. I love seeing you guys. Because you're showing all the hard work, and of course we get to see it on Facebook and social media, and how you guys are. It's such a different world than what it was, say, 20 years ago. But just to see the growth, and I really wish you so much luck. As I said, we've been corresponding for about almost a month now, and trying to set up a day, and and
things fell through, but we got it to work.
Yeah. Oh, and same with when it came to Anthony and Mandy and everything, and Sean Lotus and everything, because when I interviewed them and everything, I ended up had to go to the hospital. So I ended up. Oh. I that was a tough week because I was sick and I was still interviewing everybody, and then finally I ended up saying I got to go to the hospital, and ended up staying in the hospital for a whole week. I had diverticulitis and salmonella. God, it was horrible. But I was determined. I was determined to get those interviews done because I wanted to talk to them.
Those are great interviews. I checked those out.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm starting to get a little bit of the hang of it. Of it.
No, you're doing great.
I appreciate it. Well, I was telling Joyce Curtis when I interviewed her last month. I mean, I get butterflies when I try to contact somebody, and I get butterflies and nervous when I talk to people over the phone. I can talk to a person in person in public, no problems. Total strangers, I can have great conversation. I'm over the phone. It's like I'm trying to jot down little. I make sure I don't sound like an. I'll literally write down, "Don't sound like an idiot." Okay. So.
You did a good job. You didn't sound like an idiot.
Well, I appreciate it.
I didn't either.
Well, Krystian, I really appreciate you coming on the show. Means a lot.
Thank you so much for having me.
No problem. I mean, that's one thing I really wanted the show to be, starting when I decided to change up the format a little bit, other than just reviewing. I really wanted to shine the light, because you guys really shown so much hospitality towards my show and my channel, and I feel like independent filmmakers and actors and actresses, and just you guys are just such a great community, and I'm just a small fraction of anywhere close to being a part of it, but I am so honored to have you guys come on my show, and
you're definitely a part of it.
I appreciate it, and I really, really, really hope the best for you when it comes to that pilot.
Thank you very much. I'll keep in touch, and
oh, please do. I would love to have you guys. I love having everybody back on the show as often as possible.
Oh, let me know when.
All right, man. All right.
Hey, like and subscribe. Be sure to check out more of the content on the Movie Dawgs channel. All the reviews and cool remarks and cool guests like me, Josh Church, the owner of River Monster Comics. We are in Denellen, Florida, so if you're ever in the area, come by and check out the shop and get some cool nerd stuff, comics, pops, toys, whatever, and swing by and just have some cool conversations about movies and all things pop culture. We appreciate you. See you soon.